Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and in this video I'm going to do a review of some dungeon molds from Green Stuff World. So Green Stuff World really kindly reached out to me and asked if they could send me a bunch of stuff and I could take a look at it and, try it out and see what I thought. And well, I haven't had a chance to experiment with all the cool stuff they sent me, but I immediately thought that the dungeon molds looked so much fun, so I wanted to try them out first. And I have to say, I really like them. I think they're so cool, and I don't even play like tabletop RPGs or anything. But they're just plain fun. So let's take a look at them, shall we? So the dungeon molds come in a small box like this, and inside there are, as you can see here, an instruction booklet, which is actually quite nice to have, because it can at first glance be a little bit tricky to quite figure out exactly what every single little bit is for, but it tells you so in the booklet, which is cool. And then you have two molds inside the box, both of silicone, and they're really nice and really detailed, I think. I cast the tiles using some resin powder. This is acrylic resin powder I got also from Green Stuff World, and it's just, as you can see, this white powder that you mix with a bit of water, and then you have I don't know, a couple of minutes or so to actually work with it before it starts to harden up. It was really easy to use, and I liked the results I got with it very much. I think it says on the instruction manual that you have to wait, that it'll take about 24 hours for it to harden up completely, but I am not that patient. So after about 30 minutes or so, I took them out from the molds, and they were just fine. And as you can see, they are really detailed, and you have different sort of tiles. Some of them that look like they have like a watery pool in the middle, and some you can use for like sewers. They have doors, and they also have like this, as you can see here, this sort of stairwell going up or down, which I really like. And I just think all sorts of different cool textures to use, and I was already getting a whole bunch of ideas for stuff I wanted to do with these. There is also an sort of arched doorway, and I don't know if you noticed, but there is a slight crack at the top, and that's because when I took it out, it cracked. But some super glue fixed it really nice. I'm not perhaps it was because I was too impatient. So I decided to glue two of these doorways together so that you have like a nice big door that can also stand on its own, and it doesn't just have a blank surface at the back. Then Green Stuff World actually suggests that you glue these tiles onto something just to make the dungeon a bit more sturdy, I think. Because as you can see, these tiles are pretty small. They measure about 3.2 centimeters, I think. But I really wanted the modularity, which I was already like having fun with, like placing the different tiles next to each other. So I decided to try and make some trays for the for my dungeon tiles instead. So as you can see here, there are some longer bits. Sort of like walls, and they're supposed to show you where the edge of the dungeon is. But I thought, why not use these as the boundaries on my trays, and then I can make all sorts of different trays, which means that the small tiles won't just randomly move around as you play with them, but at the same time keeping the modularity in place. Once I had a relatively big batch of these dungeon tiles, I primed them using a cheap matte primer from, I think, a DIY store or something. And then I just did a quick dry brush. I was really tempted to do all sorts of crazy effects, but I wanted to see what they would look like if you were just, going for really quick. Because, if you need to paint 100 dungeon tiles or something like that, then you can't paint them all really detailed and exact. So, and I actually think they come out looking pretty nice just with a really quick dry brush. I just dry brushed them with a bit of gray, a bit of beige, and then a bit of white at the end. Then because I always like to do more with my stuff. I also decided to put on a bit of wash, but I don't think that would actually be necessary. I use some Acrex Earthshade and some Nuln Oil, and but I mean, I think you can definitely just use them as they are with just the dry brush. I just wanted to put on a bit of wash and see what they look like. When the wash was dry, I did a quick dry brush again, and then I decided to add a little bit of flock just in some of the crevices on the tiles, because I know it's really 90s or something with this, you know, very green flock, but I kind of like the look, so so I did that. But I mean, you can do that or not, as you prefer. And here you can see some of my, well, most of my dungeon tiles, and as you can see, I fell for the temptation to paint some of them in really bright colors. It did take a bit more time though, so if I was gonna do a whole dungeon, I probably wouldn't paint them all pink, but I mean, you could, and it would look really cool. But most of them, as you can see here, are just the gray dry brushing with a bit of flock on them. And you can also see that I have done different sort of effects. You have like one of the spikes, and you have the door here. I left it as it is, without gluing it in place, because I want to have the option of removing it if my players go through them or whatever. As I said, I don't play tabletop RPGs, so I don't know exactly what you would, what kind of tiles and doorways and stuff you would want. But I'm just laying them out here, the trays, as you can see, just to give you an idea of the modularity and how they function, and also of the way they look when they are all sort of, you know, put together. And I'm having so much fun with this. I'm 36, and I just can't stop playing with these and getting crazy ideas and killing off my poor Stormcast in all sorts of different ways. So as you can see, this is why I like the modularity with the trays instead of gluing them in place, because then it just so happened that I think she stepped on a trap, and inside were some spikes. So I mean, now she's probably dead. I also did some tiles with a bit more of the greenery on them, just to sort of illustrate going outside. I did some with water effects, and as you can see, one of my trays is a little bit too narrow, so that you can have your players swimming, or it's, you know, going through a sewage system or whatever. And I did with all these different weird colors, so you can do a techno dungeon if you want. And yeah, it's just having fun with it, really. The molds also come with some like rubble, and I think that for me at least, they illustrate that you can both that it's a ruined dungeon, but also that you have like you have tripped a wire or something, and then you get a bunch of rocks in in your head. I also used a UV pen to write on one of the tiles, "Turn back," just for fun. So here you can see some of the more special effects ones I made, and if some of you are interested in knowing exactly how they were done, please write in the comments below if you would like to see a tutorial for some of these. I would be more than happy to do them. I just didn't think that in a review that I would go over each and every single technique I used. But they're all pretty easy to do, even though the brighter they are, the more time they seem to take. But I don't care, you know, the brighter the better. So here you can see the dungeon as it is right now. And as I said, I don't play tabletop RPGs, but now I kind of want to. I really had fun with these. I really did. The only thing I can think of that is perhaps not quite ideal is the fact that it might take you a bit of time to make like let's say 100 or 200, depending on, you know, the size of your dungeons and the tiles you need. And also, I think the original dungeon tiles that Green Stuff World made are probably 3D printed, because you can see some slight striations, like from a 3D printed sculpt on some of the tiles, and especially on the edges. I mean, it's not something that at all stands out to me like a big problem, but if it's something that is really important to you, then that's something you should perhaps consider before buying them. But other than that, they are so fun. I just want to make more because they were just fun to make, and they're really quick to make a whole bunch, and then I can experiment with all sorts of different colors, and it's just they're just plain fun. As I said, Green Stuff World sent these to me for free, but I really honestly recommend them if you need dungeon tiles for your RPGs, because this has been the most fun I've had with a hobby project in ages. So and for that reason alone, I would say that they are really cool. So if you enjoyed this video, or if you have tried these dungeon tiles out for yourself, I would be more than happy to hear from you. You can also, of course, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And remember, you can also follow me if you want to keep up to date with my hobby projects. And you can find me on both Instagram and Twitter as Dice and Demons. And you can also join our fun little hobby community, the Dice and Demons Showroom, on Facebook. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!